Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
मॉर्निंग सर.
चौधरी सर जॉईन झालेत का?
सर ॲक्च्युली सर 10 वाजता झाले होते जॉईन. ते काहीतरी थोडंसं टायमिंगचं कन्फ्युजन झालं होतं. तर सरांना आपण 10:30 म्हटलं आहे, तर सर परत होतात आहे 10:30ला जॉईन.
ओके. गेस्ट स्पीकरचं इंट्रोडक्शन झाल्यानंतर हे पीपीटी बंद कराल आणि त्यांना पिन कराल.
येस सर.
खुशी,
Yes, sir.
so don't admit anyone now.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So therefore, this Zoom and we are simultaneously on YouTube.
Hello, Khushi? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Okay, we will right now will not admit any of the students right now. We will ask the students to join from YouTube. So do not admit any student right now from this link.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
आत्ताच 100 झालंय. चौधरी सर कसे जॉईन होतील?
नाही सर 93 दिसतात आहेत पार्टिसिपंट्स इथे.
100 दिसतंय मला.
ओके, वेटिंग मध्ये आहेत सर, ज्यांना आपण नाही केलं ऍडमिट. 7 पार्टिसिपंट्स आर इन वेटिंग. ठीक आहे सर, त्यांना रिमूव्ह करून देऊ आपण. Students who have multiple joining occurrences, they please remove their names. There are some students who have joined from 2 to 3 devices. Please disconnect yourself from remaining devices. Only stay connected on single device.
चौधरी सर जॉईन होतात आहेत. तोपर्यंत काहीतरी आहे आपल्या व्हिडिओ वगैरे चालू शकतो.
सर झाले सर जॉईन. गुड मॉर्निंग सर. सर जॉईन झालेत सर.
गुड मॉर्निंग चौधरी सर.
Good morning sir. Good morning Chaudhary sir.
सेटअप व्हायचं.
हाँ सर.
हा सर. काही बरं बरं बरं. हां हां. परत लॉग इन करतात आहेत. अनम्यूट होत नव्हतं. त्यांना को होस्ट केलंय ना?
हाँ सर, आता केलंय सरांनी को होस्ट, कदाचित त्याच्यामुळे नसेल होते. ठीक आहे सर, चालेल.
पल्लवी मॅडम, ते पार्टिसिपंट एक्सीड झाले.
नाही सर, आलं आहे. केलं सर आता सरांना ऍडमिट.
सरांना ऍडमिट करा.
हो सर, केलं सर.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
खरपाटे सर, त्यांना को होस्ट करून देऊ. सरांचं अनम्यूट नव्हतं होत.
हो, तुम्हाला को होस्ट करतो, म्हणजे मग तुम्हाला स्वतःला म्यूट अनम्यूट करता येईल.
सर झालंय सर. सर करू शकतात
आता बघा सर.
गुड मॉर्निंग.
नाही होत आहे. एकदा सगळ्यांना अनम्यूट करा, हे करा. हो, तुमच्या ह्याच्यासमोर को होस्ट दिसत आहे का? हा, को होस्ट दिसत आहे, त्यामुळे तुम्ही करू शकाल.
आता अनम्यूट झालंय.
आला सर आवाज.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर.
गुड मॉर्निंग. गुड मॉर्निंग.
Should we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, madam. Please go ahead.
Yes sir. Khushi, are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Please start.
A very tragic morning to one and all present here. I, Khushi Bhushan, on behalf of the Cummins College of Engineering for Women, take this privilege to welcome our honorable guest, Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary. I also take this privilege to extend my warm welcome to our principal, Dr. Bharat Bhushan Joshi, the entire teaching and non-teaching staff, and the entire student community in the Impact Lecture Session Series. Our Institution Innovation Council, IIC, is organizing an Impact Lecture Session with support from the Ministry of Education Innovation Council, MIC, and AICTE in 2 sessions on 1st and 12th October 2021. The objective of this session is to sensitize and motivate students and faculty to pursue innovation and startup during their academic. Now, I would request Palvi ma'am to give us a brief of the event.
Thank you, Khushi. As mentioned by her, we are organizing this lecture series to motivate students to get into entrepreneurship and think in the direction to start their own venture. The student will get awareness about the same, and their queries regarding it will be resolved to some extent. From these two sessions, session 1 was on 1st October, and today we are having the second session of the series. In first session, which was on 1st October, 2 speakers addressed the students, where first lecture was from Mr. Sahil Chawla sir, who is director of T-Seconds Generation. He briefed students about his journey throughout and what all challenges he faced in his journey. In second lecture, Dr. Preeti Taide, who is an IPR expert, explained various concepts and basic ideas to be implemented while filing any patent or creating copyright and some more concepts related to it. Today, we are having 2 lectures in the second session. First is from Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary sir, who is an angel investor and serial entrepreneur. Sir will express his views on innovation, and later in the afternoon, we will be having session from Mr. Nitin Ronge sir, who will brief us about his journey as an entrepreneur. So let us continue with our session today. We welcome you, sir. Thank you, Khushi.
Thank you for the acknowledgement, ma'am. Now, I would request our principal, sir, to give his advice on the session.
Good morning, everybody. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Respected Shashikant Chaudhary sir, and a very good friend of mine. The today's coordinator, Professor Pallavi Tagsage, Prasanna Mahankar, and my dear faculty and all dear students who are viewing this either through the Zoom or through YouTube. Very good morning to all of you, and remembering the great visionary Maharishi Dhondo Keshav Karve, I welcome all of you to this Impact Lecture Series third session and today's first session. Our motive behind this Impact Lecture Series is that many students, they join this engineering college with a view that they should get placed into some good MNC or some company, and maybe IT or core engineering company. Well, that is our first effort to place you. But at the same time, getting into entrepreneurship is also a kind of placement. And I'm sure some of you must be thinking about this option also. If not, you will get motivated to do so with this Impact Lecture Series. And when you place yourself as an entrepreneur, or you try to start a startup, then it is not that you are going to be a job seeker, but you are going to be a job giver, and which is going to be the best part of your life, because this is the way you are going to help India develop. Whatever kind of programs that we conduct through this IIC is to ensure that you get all those life skills where you can either become an entrepreneur, or you get those life skills so that maybe even after say 8 years or 10 years hence from now, if you think that you want to get into some kind of an entrepreneurship, you would possess those life skills with you. And with that intention, we are arranging this kind of series of talks. And we also normally arrange various competitions and various other things for which also Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary had been a witness and has been with us as an advisor also. As all of you know that we are MSME approved incubation center, and I would like all of you to really think about what they can do and how they can come out with some good innovative product. And on this particular aspect, today Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary is with us, who out of his busy schedule has accepted our invitation to talk to you. And let this be a sort of a dialogue than a monologue. So those who are on Zoom, they can definitely ask questions at the end of his talk. And those who are on YouTube can put their questions in the chat box, and that would be conveyed by our compeer, Kushi. And we will have a very good a dialogue kind of session, interactive kind of session. And I'm sure you would love to listen to Mr. Shashikant Chaudhary. He is a very good orator, and he has got immense experience about the kind of startups that he has supported so far. So let's listen to him. Let us try to get maximum out of this Impact Lecture Series. So over to Kushi. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your motivational words, sir. So before I proceed forward, I would like to inform that many of the students is also attending this session from our YouTube live. So today we are honored to have among us our guest lecturer, Mr. Sashikant Chaudhary. So let me just brief you a little bit about his achievements. Mr. Sashikant Chaudhary is a serial entrepreneur, an angel investor, and a mentor. He is funding and advising not only regular startups, but in student startups as well. He has invested in very interesting startups like MobiContech.com, CarQ.com, LocationGuru.com, MedicineWay.com, GenXHealthcare.com, DonateCards.com, eFunnel.in, and few others. He is a chairman of BNIT Nagpur Alumni Association and is conducting innovative courses on entrepreneurship at BNIT Nagpur and RCOEM Nagpur. He was the managing director India for Global Logic, managing more than 4,000 engineers. Global Logic is one of the world leaders in the space of OPD. Global Logic gave its services to more than 250 companies like Google, LinkedIn, Intel, Microsoft, Samsung, etc. Mr. Sashikant has over 30 years of experience in senior management and academics. Mr. Sashikant has co-founded 5 IT companies. He co-founded Leben Technologies, a leading company in mobile technologies, ADCC RNC, ADCC Infocat, eForum Systems, and Computer Media. Besides all these, he has also headed the Computer Technology Department at YCCE. He was a board member of Global Logic USA. He was a member governing board of BNIT and Management Council of YCMOU. Mr. Sashikant has been instrumental in bringing Nagpur on the IT map of India. He was recently awarded the Global Nagpur Award Individual Professional IT in recognition of his contribution towards Nagpur's development and improvement towards a global city. We welcome you, sir. Now, I would request Sashikant, sir, to take this session forward by his lecture. The stage is all yours, sir.
Thank you, Khushi, for a kind introduction and wonderful opportunity to speak to young minds. And thank you, Dr. Bhushan, dear friend of mine and innovator himself, having led a lot of innovations in the defense sector. And thank you, Pallavi, Professor Pallavi and Professor Prashant, and students. So the topic for the today's discussion, as I was told, I have to talk about the startup and innovation in this sequence, whatever it comes. And so in a way, what I thought that what I would do is speak on some aspects of entrepreneurship. Then the second topic would be more towards should we get into entrepreneurship in the college? That's a question in the mind of a lot of people. The third question is many times, how to innovate, where to find those ideas. Fourth question typically is we get many ideas and we are not very sure whether this idea is good or not. And the fifth question is, if the idea is good, what is my next step? What should I do tomorrow? Because there are so many things which had to be done in parallel. People typically get confused over a period of time. And for me, having started the entrepreneurship right into the college itself, because when I was in college, which was way back in the second year of BNIT, 1980, second year. So that was my first venture. And over the period, I've been into 10 ventures now. And some succeeded, some average, some failed. And now again, I'm back to entrepreneurship. So I'm starting my own venture again. Again, I'm as fresh as you could be in terms of thinking your idea, or some people have just working on their idea. So I'm also at the same level as you are in terms of starting on a new idea. So let's go step by step. I have some presentation which I can use for the reference. But as Dr. Bhushan suggested, maybe we could have some kind of a dialogue in between or at the end. That depends upon how much time we have. So let's begin with the presentation. Let me check whether I can get the presentation going. Are you able to see the presentation? Just somebody has to give me a clue.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. So what I will do is, we will walk through this presentation, and wherever, Dr. Joshi, if you want me to stop, I'll definitely stop at that point and take the questions. So that's perfectly fine with me in terms of how do we want to proceed.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. So So what is entrepreneur? Entrepreneurship, you are basically getting into the entrepreneur mode. If you see such a kind of a person who is a real warrior, he keeps on doing the kind of things when it hurts, because he's here to change the view of a lot of people in the world as to how the things can be done in a newer and innovative way. And the things are not going to be simple. It is going to be a hard fought battle, and you are going to get bruised in between. But the satisfaction you will get at the end of the day, as they say, you get into the entrepreneurship, if you succeed, or even if you don't succeed, the person you are is going to be all the way different person. You are going to be a new person by the end of this journey. It is a hard and soft issues. It's like it's never kind of a perfect science. There's a lot of science that has come in terms of how people have done and tackled some of those issues, so we can learn from them. But it's also a combination of hard and soft issues, and that's why it's called. You require hard work as well as you require a soft magic itself. Speed of the light at which we are talking. Startups essentially are working at the speed of light. You have to move extremely fast. And it's like, this is a very interesting statement given by the Robert. And he says that it's jumping from the airplane, and then, it's without parachute, you're jumping, and while you're falling down, you are assembling the parachute, and you're hoping the parachute would open by the time you end up into, reaching to the land. The point is, why we should be doing in the college. That was the point number 2, which we wanted to discuss. The first and the foremost thing, as Dr. Joshi mentioned about it, it's a question of job giver versus job seeker. And in your career, you are probably going to change 13 to 16 jobs. Unlike those days are past, that the people would enter into one job and retire into that job. You would possibly, and the estimate varies between 13 to 17 jobs. That means every 2 to 3 years, you are going to change your job. That means there is going to be new landscape, there is new technology, there are going to be new tools, and you have to be not only working on the existing tool set of today to earn your salary and living, but you have to also master the tools which are going to come in the next 2 or 3 years and be prepared for that. And that's been, even if in your job, you will be putting almost like 18 hours a day, because there is no choice, because the whole landscape is going to change. And in this kind of scenario, if that is a problem, that problem is also an opportunity, because if those changes are going to come in fast, that are going to create a lot of opportunities. And at the end of the day, definitely, as Dr. Joshi mentioned also, that's so true, that the only way to manage this demographic advantage, what we have in India, is by creating those number of jobs. And those number of jobs only could be created by the new companies or new startups. The whole kind of growth of Israel or the growth of USA, what we see is driven by the entrepreneurial companies. Those companies have grown to an extent that now they have become almost like trillion-dollar companies. You take Apple, you take Facebook, you take all those kind of companies. These are so huge. It is like single companies equivalent to like 28 countries GDP equivalent to that. They are themselves by a country to that extent, and those companies are creating the footprints and changing the landscape, and also providing the opportunities. Only the new companies are going to create that level of jobs. As the company survives for 2 years or 5 years, it creates like 5 to 50 jobs. Bigger companies are not going to create the jobs. Bigger companies are going to net job destructors. They are not going to create jobs, because they have to work on optimization. They have to work on optimizing the efficiency, and therefore more and more automation, and therefore lesser and lesser jobs. And therefore the new jobs are going to come in from the entrepreneurship. As you can see, even in our case, Swiggy was not there in like 10 years back, but now Swiggy, perhaps if everything goes as per their plan, they are going to be the third largest, biggest employer in India. Largest being railways. To that extent, the startup company, which was not there 10 years back, that's where the potential in terms of, creating those kind of jobs is going to be there, which is only possible because of entrepreneurship. And that's where a lot of responsibility, even for the youth, in terms of not into, getting the job is one option, but creating the jobs. And by way of driving your own destiny could be one of very interesting options you guys can try. At the same time, a lot of people confused about what is startup and what is company. Startup is a temporary organization which is searching for a right business model. It is a temporary organization. And moment all facets of that startup are known, that is, then we call that as a company. So that's where this, the startup is going to be called as, because people have a lot of definitions. But now, if you look at why we should be doing this thing in the college, because of so many things which goes into your advantage. What are those? Because college provides you all the labs and there's no hardware and software cost. You don't have to pay any rent of furniture and space. You don't have to pay any electricity charges. There's no internet charges, no salaries to team members. You can get your own people, your friends to work with you. It's like a free access to the mentors for the alumni and professors, and even the society will go a long way in terms of helping the students if they really want to get, and they are very serious about it. You get free access to the labs. You get, the most important point is learning. That the learning which you get is like almost like 30x than the classroom learning that happens, because this is the real life learning that happens over here. And that even the companies are trying to employ, even if your startup fails for that matter. Let's assume nobody starts for the startup to get into failure, but God forbid the startup fails, your learning is going to be 30x, and that's where the companies, even they want people with the entrepreneurial mindset, because by way of doing this, you create a entrepreneurial mindset. It's a different way of looking at the whole problem statement. It's a different way of how to look at the business and opportunities. That mindset, which gets developed by practically doing that entrepreneurship at whatever level, even at the second year level or third year level or fourth year level, that is going to help you. I can give you an example of one student of mine who was, because I teach the student entrepreneurship course at VNIT, and this guy, Kunal Lakne, he was doing his entrepreneurship right in second year, third year, and fourth year, and did 2 or 3 kind of gigs in this, and he was not willing to join any company, but somehow his parents forced, and then he appeared for the interview of BPCL. And in that interview, when he went, first 5 minutes was on his profile and resume, but rest of the 25 minutes was only on what kind of things he did in entrepreneurship and what are kind of the things he learned over there. His resume was way different than all these Xerox copied resumes of many students who were like a Xerox copies, and this was standout. And he got a job offer of 16 lakhs, a mechanical engineer core, engineering, and got an offer. He went there to BPCL, but as his nature would be, left that, and he joined a company from Kunal Shah, which is like a cred. You must have heard in the IPL matches and all those things. That's a lot of advertisement that come in, and he's a product manager managing one of the product in the fintech over there at the cred. I mean, that's where even the Kunal Shah has said that we want people, or the industry requires people who have an entrepreneurial mindset. And as I said, you will be a completely different person moment you go through this kind of experiences. And therefore, learning in the typical college learning, I'm not going to demean, that is important, extremely important kind of the learning you get in the college itself. But learning in the college, typically all those courses will prepare you for profession. But doing entrepreneurship or these kind of activities will prepare you for life, because these are life skills. And that's where these are going to be very important. And of course, as Dr. Joshi also mentioned, you have an incubation center, approved incubation center. You can get access to the incubation grants, and you can get access to the incubation center if you have the right idea. And that's where I definitely believe that there is no harm. And what's the cost? The cost of doing things versus the kind of the learning and the kind of experience you get, the ratio is way different. And from that perspective, I definitely encourage the people to give it a try. Who knows? You could be tremendously successful. And even if you are not successful, sure, you are aiming for the moon, you'll always land on stars. Also, why the young people? Because India is a young people country, and young people can solve young people's problems because they can relate to that. And these are the people who think on the border of mad and genius. They are bold, they are aggressive, they can, come out with a different approach, which is normally a person with my age at over 50 and all those things. It's very difficult to relate the way you think as a youth, the way you want to solve your problems. The language and the appreciation is better with you guys. And therefore, if young India's problem has to be solved, this can be done by young entrepreneurs. Most of the people, many times, best of your friends, you can start, you get your partners in the crime in the college itself. You take the greatest example of Microsoft, take the Google, take Steve Jobs. They're all college friends. All those friendships were formed right there. Importantly, you can also look at, this is a very interesting statement, that most of the people are solving for the top 10% of the India's problem, because that's where the money is. But rest of the people in the cadre, there's not much of focus, but there are tremendous opportunities if you can create a business to serve for the bottom of the pyramid or even the middle of the pyramid, where the people are waiting for the solutions. The poor doesn't mean that he wants a cheaper solutions or no solutions. Poor wants solutions. How can you give this kind of solutions to those people who are poor or below the poverty line or even the lower middle class? And this only can be done if you can leverage the technology. The technology has a power to create disruptive solutions at 1/10 of the cost, 1/10 of the size, and it can reach to the masses. And instead of people are coming to the urban centers, people coming to colleges for education, can the education reach to them? Instead of people coming to bank, can the fintech reach to the financial solutions can reach to the poor people? Instead of always people coming to the cities like Nagpur from the rural areas nearby, can the healthcare reach to them? These solutions need to be built by leveraging the technology, and you are the technology guys. You are technology students, and you have tremendous advantages because most of these solutions can be created by leveraging the technology and create those disruptive solutions, and which could be available at the lowest cost. Even that one person uses your application for 1 year at $1, there are 700 million people. And this could be a $500 million, 700 million kind of a revenue, even if that product is used only once per year by one person. That means you can create $1 billion company by creating a very interesting solution that can reach to the masses. And that's not only made to be available to the poor people from India or lower middle class people from India, but there are the same solutions can be given all over the world. There are people waiting to get these solutions even in the parts of Africa and those, because the problems are similar. And can you create those kind of solutions? And that's where I said, at scale, if you want to create, that's the only way you have to do. And who is more comfortable? Yes, as I said, the youth. And all costs have significantly come down. Most of the cost of creation, because the same tools in terms of the software, the IoTs, the same, the computer which took the Apollo 11 flight to landing a mission on the moon, you have almost 10 times more powerful computer here in your handset right now. So the cost of processor, cost of creating, cost of distribution, cost of consumption, and the speed at which this is happening is little. I mean, this is where the things are going to move in such a kind of speed, because the kind of the days it took for this product to reach to a 50 million users. In terms of, if you take the TVs, it was like close to 75 years. If you take Facebook, it took like 3.5 years. If you take Angry Birds, it took 35 days to reach to 50 million users. And just imagine, even the Reliance, for that matter, a physical product which came out, only 12 days. That's where the speed, if you create a right product with the right combination, and it doesn't take much, which is one of the best financial infrastructure in the world. The best financial infrastructure, which is called as financial highways. These financial infrastructure in the world is created by India. And how many people did it take to create this kind of infrastructure? 7 people. I mean, it didn't take an army to create WhatsApp. It didn't create an army to create Instagram. These are the people who are like, not in thousands. These are people in less than 50, sometimes less than 10. And you people who are sitting over here, I can see that almost like 100 people are there on the Zoom itself, and there could be more on YouTube. Any 2 or 3 people who think they have a great idea and they can really work on their idea with a great passion, and they can create a product. It's not a monopoly of big companies to create innovative product. The big innovative or disruptive product could be created by youth, and the cost of creation has gone down, and that has further gone down in the college environment, because you get to have an access to so many things at free of cost. So what's a better time to get this thing going? And that's where I feel, you should use the opportunity to work on your interesting problems in the college environment itself. Someone who will make things happen. That's what is all about, the entrepreneur itself. Now we are coming to a second topic in terms of how and where to find ideas. So I'll stop for if we have any questions to be discussed or any kind of topic to be discussed, any specific questions or suggestions, I'll stop for 2 minutes. We can take up that, or I will proceed on the next question. You can let me know. So maybe, what I will do is, without wasting too much of time, let me go through the next topic. And the next topic is more towards, the idea of where to find these ideas. And that's where the next topic of the discussion is. And in terms of as you can see in my slide over here, there are so many technologies, which are coming together. And this technology, if you can see in terms of artificial intelligence, robotics, infinite computing, broadband networks, 3D printing, nanomaterials, synthetic biology, so many and the interesting part is these technologies, these technologies are coming in at one time. And that's where it's not in the kind of a domain of the scientific domain or engineering domain. These are now coming into consumer domain at the same time. And because so many technologies are coming at the same time, they are almost like creating, a perfect storm. This is a perfect storm of the technology. And these so many technology, like the technologies which we talked about. And these technologies, when they come together, they create gaps. They shake the canvas, as you can see in the bottom. And when you shake the canvas, it creates gaps. It creates the holes. And those holes where those gaps are, you can create a business over there. Because if everything is static, then there are no opportunities. But because of this storm of technologies, the canvas, the landscape is changing so fast that there are these opportunities going to be created. And again, the opportunities gets created because not only because of the technology, but because of the social, economic, and regulatory changes. Anything of that changes, and if you combine this together with the technology, there are tremendous opportunities that are going to be created. And that's where what's happening is, as from a technology perspective, initially the technology was supporting the business, then the technology started becoming at par with the business. Technology started offering the differentiator, but now the technology has taken a center stage, and because of the technology, a lot of businesses are getting created. So that's the kind of the very interesting change which has happened. The technology is creating an opportunity to change the business model. Technology is creating the opportunity to change the channels. The technology is creating the opportunity to change the product. In terms of its size, speed, and all those kind of things. Every aspect of business is getting changed by technology. And a lot of companies are getting created just because they are very interestingly leveraging the technology and creating a huge play. For example,
Participants are requested to stay over here. There is some issue from Sir's side. I think connection issue is there. We will be resuming within 2 minutes. All are requested to stay in the meeting.
sorry guys, I lost you. There was a problem at my end, and suddenly I lost the Wi-Fi because of the very heavy fluctuation of the power. So I'm not sure where I lost you. So if anybody can give me a clue as to where I lost you. Was I on this slide?
Yes, sir.
You're talking about this use of technology.
Okay. So in terms of like perhaps I was in this slide, if somebody can, yeah. So, that's where even the Netflix, when they leverage the streaming over there, they change only one part of the business and they created $1 billion company, because earlier the Netflix was on the model of watching the DVDs, movies on the DVD. Only thing which was changed from the HBO was that uncommon videos or pictures would be available on the Netflix, but they changed the model. And moment they changed the model, a new way of doing the business. And that itself happened because of the technology. Can you just imagine the new models in the taxi business which have come? If there was no smartphone, there were no maps, there was no GPS on the handset, would these models would have created? We earlier had only one Kali Pili kind of a taxi service. But then we had a radio taxi, then we came into Uber, Ola, then we came into like big blah blah cars, which can be driven intercity, which can have pink cars where the only woman drivers can drive. We have the Zoom car, Zip car, all those kind. The car could be given by the company and you drive yourself. All kind of the new models which have been created, where they are leveraging the technology to use the assets to the maximum. Right? That's the model. That leveraging the technology in terms of using any unused asset to its maximum. And all this was possible because of the technology itself. Now, one of this company, which you might have heard, I don't know whether you heard it, but the name of this company is Twin, TWIN. And they are now a $1 billion company, just started 2 years back. And what these people are doing, these people are trying to reverse and help the people, diabetic people, to control their sugar and even reverse the diabetics, which many Indian companies are doing by providing exercises and nutrition, but they are taking a technology route. And what the technology route they are taking is, there are going to be a lot of sensors around the body, wearables you can wear. Every particular person is going to possibly have 10 wearable devices, and every wearable devices will have 10 applications going forward minimum, which is going to create 100 moving applications per person. And these are going to be cheaper and cheaper. As you can see, your lens, your clothes, your phone, your shoes, everywhere the sensors are going to be fitted. And these sensors will have now going forward, even the not only sensing, but a small computing device. That sensor is so compact where you can have a lot of computing done at the edge itself, which can provide you real-time information. But at the same time, if you can sense a lot of information, if you see the Apple Watches and all those things, what they are doing is democratizing the technology and healthcare, because the healthcare was only supposed to be accessed by doctors and you could just go there and get the prescriptions. But now you can own your own healthcare data. Now, what this Twin company is doing, they know for that matter, this technology is changing, the variables are going to be cheap, the healthcare is going to be democratized. Now, there are a lot of sensors which are going to be cheaper sensors, which are going to be put across the body, and that will be continuously monitoring all your parameters. And with respect to those parameters after being monitored are going to be sent to a central portal. It will be sent to your doctor, and doctor on the runtime knows what's the pattern in the morning, afternoon, this food, that food, this exercise, that exercise, what kind of situations you are going through. It is almost like they are creating a digital twin. This digital twin concept was in the machines, but now a digital twin is getting created for a human being. It is as well as your model is getting created virtually back there in the doctor's computer, and he knows what exactly the kind of line of action in terms of the exercises, diet, and medicines to be given on runtime. That's where the technologies are moving, and that's where the new opportunities. And this story is not like 20 years back. A $1 billion company is not 20 years back. This is just 2 years back. And this is like, does it cost too much in terms of the technologies? No, the sensors are becoming cheaper and cheaper. Your whole computer, with a kind of a 64 MB memory and the microcontroller unit and, the kind of the serial IOs and those kind of things, it's going to be like this. At this point of time, it was 2 years back. It is like a size of your 25 cents. And or the charana जो बोलते थे अभी जो दिखता भी नहीं है, but only of that size, and they are going to be miniaturized to that extent that it's going to be on the fingertip. And this is going to that time it was costing like 60 rupees, that might cost 5, 6, 7 rupees. So just imagine that level of sensors and computing devices is going to be embedded on every part, be it clothes, be it shoes, be it lens, be it smartphone, be it your all those things, variables which you can think of, wristband to your hand watch, everything, the trackers, and their technologies will give an opportunity, and this is going to have a multiplier effect. And that's where the opportunities are going to come in for everybody of you. Every business under the sun is going to be disrupted at least 50 to 100 times. Any business for that matter. You take any routine business that's going to change the things forever. And the products are not going to remain same. And I can take an example for that. If you take an example of a weighing scale, what was this weighing scale, the personal weighing scale? This personal weighing scale was a kind of a mechanical device, right? And you could stand over there, and this was a mechanical indicator which will show you your weight. Now let's see how this, in the last 20-25 years, how this weight scale has transformed. Now the weight scale, then it came at a digital readout. Then, with the transducers, then it was LED, then it became LCD, right? And then what happened? You wanted this information about the weight to be transferred to your server. So now you require whereby you can monitor the trains. So now the weighing scale has to communicate to your server so that data can be transferred to the server. But then the people said, why only my server? Because I could be anywhere in the world. This has to go into the cloud. So now the new cloud technology has to come in. Now this weight scale manufacturer has to adopt to the cloud technologies and should be able to put this your information on the cloud. But you cannot put this information on the cloud without the security. Now the security comes in. The security part now plays out because it's a secured information. It has to now securely communicate to the multiple servers. And now people say, I want an access to those kind of the information, not only on my laptop, but on my mobile phones. Now it has to have a iOS, your Android application, iOS application, and on the mobile, you should be able to watch your weight and trains and the health parameters in terms of the body or BMI and all those kind of things. Anywhere in the world, runtime, because it could just access to the cloud and get information on your handset in terms of the trains and all those things. So now the mobile technologies have come to the simple product has to now go through the cloud, then the security, then in terms of the mobile applications, the Android and iOS applications, and then now it has to go further because now you are going to have the Fitbits or the wristbands or the smartwatches. Now it has to talk to the multiple smartwatches from the different companies. Now, not only smartwatches, the different fitness trackers. Now it has to talk to multiple fitness trackers. Now, just imagine this particular weighing scale has to talk to the multiple fitness trackers, multiple watches, multiple mobile phones, the cloud technologies, the security. These all changes. Why these changes came in? These changes came in because of the technology. Because the technology made it possible to make this thing happen. And why these changes were done? Because it has to make life easy for the people on the go, and it could be highly personalized. That's the game. Everybody is into that. Who is going to win the war? Not the products. It's going to the personalization of those products to that extent. Who can create that kind of a customer experience? Those are the people who are going to win this game. And that's where these technologies, at a cheaper technologies, anybody has access, students have access, professors have access, and these people can create those technologies, and these technologies can disrupt the way any product. I'm taking as rudiment product as it was, a perfectly, the old school thought weight scale. But now see the transformation the weight scale has done in the last 20-25 years. And same thing is happening with every business, be it taxi, be it this, be every business for that matter. By leveraging the technology, the people better, and you can create those kind of personalized experiences. And whoever company creates those personalized experiences is going to win. So that's where you can find the ideas. The second way is to really look at the friction filters, find out the people, where are they struggling? How can you make it easy? How can you make it convenient? For example, the Reliance example, which I'm going to be talking about, is all about, when Reliance Jio came in quite late, right, into the carriers. And before that, just imagine Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, all those companies were there, and there were like 25 plans. This many minutes, this many SMS, roaming, and this, and minutes, and all those kind of things. And people were confused. In the single family itself, they would have 3 to 4 plans. Of four people would have four different plans. And every time they make an offer, it's so confusing. What Reliance did, made it easy. Give less choices. They gave only three choices: A, B, C, plan A, plan B, and plan C. And people chose plan B to the extent of 80%. And that's where make it easy for them. Even the onboarding of people, it used to take 2 or 3 days to get your new connection on any kind of a mobile carrier. Now, Reliance did it in like 5 minutes. They will come to your home, you will do the e-verifications, and will get you onboarded in the next 5 minutes. So just compare 5 minutes versus 3 days. That's where you can make things easy on a day-to-day. Find out where people are struggling. And if the people are struggling at various places, those are the places where the opportunities are going to be there. Just look at the classified ads, in the paper, in Hitwad or in Times of India, the classified. These are day-to-day problems and people are struggling. And just interesting factor of this is all these classified ads have, if you take each of this category, that category has been big into the sort of like, if you look at those companies, be it matrimonial, be it renting of shops or renting of office or for jobs, all these companies, if you take those categories, these are multi-billion categories on the internet because people want to solve their day-to-day problems. How can you make it easy? Dollar Shave is one of the very interesting examples where they gave a tremendous fight to a Gillette, which was an established player. But how they did it was a very simple kind of like, for the main, especially no thought process. You don't have to think whether this is my shaving cream is there or my, the razor is there or the brush. All that daily kit, the 30 kits would be given to you. And moment it comes to refill, it automatically comes to your place. Now, they have taken out the pain in terms of, the day-to-day, remove that friction. Sometimes you make it a practice. Look at those all 15 items, every day and try to find out how this can be done better. And somewhere you will get an idea about, oh, this could be a very, very interesting thing that, that time has come, and you can work on that kind of ideas. Where are those places? Your mind has to free, it has to roam. It doesn't have to be consumed in meetings or talking in a confined environment. Wherever you are, some people drive, some people, they walk, and some people like in the shower. When you change the context and then there is nothing else to do, there is no distraction, you let your mind flow. And at that point of time, when this mind is really flowing and the context is changing and there is no pressure, cognitive pressure on the brain to perform any particular task, that gives the mind a liberty to think. And that's where the new ideas will come in. Einstein, he got this idea at the age of 16, in the theory of relativity, and we guys are 18, 19. Age is no boundary, and always think of those kind of things, that anything you look at, any problem you look at, any solution you look at, try to ask a question to yourself. What if we no longer did what we did now? There are different ways to do it. There are different approaches to do it. And each approach, because every time you are not going to get a life-changing or mission-critical idea. Those are only 2 or 3% times. You are going to create a new chip, or create a new spectrum, or these are the, you are creating a satellite, or you are getting into space mission. These are like only 2 or 3% which are life-changing, but 95-96% of the ideas which you work on are going to be the ideas which are like almost like so many people would be working at the same time. And who is going to be successful in those? The people who can do it differently, people who do it with uniquely, whether it's a unique go-to-market or unique delivery channel, or what is that uniqueness and how do you execute on that uniqueness, that will create an interesting startup. So it's not many times about how bright is the idea. It's all about how you play that idea with your uniqueness and how strong you are on your execution. So it's all about execution, execution, and execution. Look at this thing. All these, the cases have now become real time. if you look at this consumer smartphone apps, shared experiences, social, everything, your messaging has become instant, your feedback has become instant, your transportation, if you look at Uber, instead of you going to the taxi is going to go and you know where the taxi is going to come in. The chat apps, instant good communication, smart home, healthcare, continuous patient monitoring, industrial, all cases are going to, you take any industry and try to automate and go into the IoT side and then analytics side and then get into the AI side. All those things, in terms of every asset under the sun is going to be monitored on the real-time basis. That's going to happen. And if you see all these things connected, energy, all this is smart, IoT based, all connected, it is going to be creating real-time experiences. And that's where, if you just imagine, I want to create this from a sort of passive or laggard to real time. For example, let's take an example of shoe. If you're running or if you're walking, and then if you get a backache because whatever you are doing with the running or walking was not proper, and then you go to the physiotherapist to get medicine or get it relieved. But what if there is a sensor in your two shoes, and that shoe in the real time gives you feedback saying that, your stride is too long or you are walking faster. This real time feedback is given to a user when he is walking at that particular point of time. That is mean by real time. I mean, you can give it, as I said, little passive, but it's the moment that use cases change from a kind of a passive or post to real time. So how can you change every experience to be real time? And that's where newer ideas. I mean, we can go on discussing on this kind of thing in terms of the ideas, but at the end of the day, the new battlefield is a customer experience. The same commodity product, if you have brand, 20 cents, empathic delivery, $2. If it's journey and a brand experience, if you can create with that, it's like $20. And if you are enabling more customer experience, the same product, 2 cents, can be charged at $40. So the new battlefield is the customer experience. So here again, I will stop because this is a huge topic in terms of the innovation. There are different ways of how to innovate. We have just taken 2 or 3, but as we look at, one of the things you could look at is how these tech trends are going to be and how the market is going to be behaving. What are the market trends and what are the tech trends and where they are going to be likely intersection. And that's where you can think of that possibility and start creating the business right now. For example, one of those things where where the person who created this business was a sensor. He put in this the people who play the golf. They want to monitor the speed of the club as well as the direction and acceleration. All those things they want to monitor to learn and perfect their drive. And what this person realized as the gyroscope, and because they are needed to monitor all these things, the gyroscopes, accelerometers, and all those kind of things, as they are getting into the handsets, they are going to be cheaper and cheaper. At some point of time, they are going to be so cheaper because of the mass production that this will be embedded into the handset. That was going to happen. And if that's the case, possibly he can also use that and put that into the golf club. And that's where he experimented on that. And by the time the prices came down, he was right there, and he put those things into the clubs. And all users of these clubs, the driving, the bat, so-called, which we use in golf, in the cricket terms is bat, but it's driving club. So in that, the driving stick, he put the sensors, and it was a hugely successful product. So all those things, you have to look at those kind of trends, look at how the cycles of usage are moving, in the cycles of convergence and divergence. Anything which becomes, people start with specific and then the product starts growing and they become weaker at certain points. How to attack on those weak points and create your own startups. There are a lot of ways in terms of we can think about how to innovate. I'll again stop because we have completed third topic, and then we'll go to the last but one topic if the time permits, and then we'll go to the last topic as the next topic is, I think about a lot of ideas, but is idea good or bad? That is what would be our next topic. So I'll stop here and take some questions.
Those who want to ask questions, they can raise their hand so that we can unmute them.
So that it should not become a monologue. How much time we have?
Unmute karo. Unmute all.
Sir, we have,
30 minutes more.
30 minutes more.
Sir,
Okay.
Video laga.
So let's spend 5 minutes here.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
I am Mahesh Shukla from Cummins College of Engineering, and I have one question, sir. I've been listening to the lectures, and my question is, how do we go in for managing technology?
Yeah. So if you can elaborate a little bit in terms of managing the technology, it is in the context of the business, or it...
Yes. The thing is that all the managers, they are finding it difficult to manage the technology now. Previously, they were managing the business. Now they are supposed to manage the technology. Now, what is that they need to do to manage the technology so that the business can be managed?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. Nice question. And that's where the new challenges are going to be coming in terms of you need to be working on the existing technology to create and support the product which is in the business right now. But at the same time, you have to work on the next stack of the technology, which is going to come in. Because the next stack of technology has a power to disrupt your own product. So many times what you will have to do is have to disrupt your own business in terms of, the earlier product and cannibalize that product and come out with a newer version, with a newer set of technology. Because in terms of the advantage you get from a product is not too much now. That advantage you used to get in the business was for 15 years. Because the product life cycles have changed and the product advantage might be only for maybe 6 months to 1 year. So what you need to do is at the one end, that product is not going to give you constant advantage. The product is going to give you an advantage over a kind of a year, maybe. The way you would manage this is in this two directions. One, you have to keep tab on the new technology and always make sure that you are working on new technologies to create your next version of the product. So some efforts have to go into creating that newer product with the newer technology. But at the same time, you can create a sustainable advantage by business model. Because it's very difficult to replicate the business model, the kind of relationships, the kind of channels, the kind of distributors, the kind of customer relationships, the kind of mechanisms you do, the kind of partnerships you do. It cannot be instantaneously replaced by a newcomer. Newcomer can come with the product, and for temporarily he can make these things happen, and the people will get flickered. But if you have created a business model where it is very difficult to it's like an innovation which is very difficult to replicate, you can sustain the business. So at one end, you have to work on the newer product and also strengthen your advantage. Whatever the business model innovation you have got, strengthen on that. That's where you can stop other people disrupting you. And at some level, you have to disrupt yourself. So that's what you have to do. And that's going to be very challenging, not very simple, because this is moving at, as I said, the speed of the light. Earlier, we were talking about 50 years, and then we talked about 15 years. Now we are talking about 3 years. Now we might be talking only not more than 1 or 2 years. So you can see the company only going up very fast, just like Nokia going up very fast in 10 years and going down in 10 years. 20 years, it was in and out. Now we might see everything happening in 10 years and 5 years now. The companies will become bigger, and therefore you will have to be on toes. There is no choice.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Any more doubts anyone has?
Okay, in the interest of the time, I'll move towards my next topic. And the next question that comes into the mind always for the people is about that, okay, I little bit understood about entrepreneurship. I little bit understand about why should I be doing this in college? I understand where from the ideas can come in. And then if I don't know whether this idea is good or bad, so that's where you have to apply those basic filters. And these are the kind of questions you have to ask. Is there a demand for that particular product? Is there need of the product service in the market? Who is going to buy? That's the most essential. I mean, that's where don't create the product and wait for the customers. Instead of search the customers within a problem and create a product for them. Don't go reverse way. I mean, if you create a product and hope everybody will come flocking, that doesn't happen. That's only 1 in million times that would happen. And you don't have to plan for that kind of a 1 by 1 in million kind of event. You have to work by design. And if that's to happen, you need to know what customers want. And ask those questions. Are you solving a want or are you solving the need? What a need? Need is like, I need a TV, but want is, I want 56-inch. Need is rational, want is emotional. Or are you solving the pain or are you solving the burning pain? If you are in a burning pain category, that's the best problem to solve. Then on the lower scale, the pain and the need. Burning pain is something which you cannot live without. If we take out the WhatsApp from you at this point of time, if we take up the Wi-Fi from this out from your point, it's like a lifeline, it's like oxygen. You feel like if the mobile handset, if everybody is asked to, if we ask you to give your mobile handsets and don't use it for the next 1 year, you will feel as if one organ of your body has gone. It's so much of pain. So if you're solving that burning pain, that's where the idea would have greatest value. Then, of course, not every problem you are solving is a burning pain. It's a pain, need, or in the want category. Is it antibiotic or vitamin? Vitamin is sometimes it can wait. Vitamin B, vitamin C, it can wait. But antibiotic, if you're 104 degrees temperature, you have to take. So is it something in which category your product is, antibiotic or vitamin? How many people need it? How much is the market? And is this market growing? If you are solving for 2 people or 20 people or 100 people, it's not enough. Is it a million people, 5 million people, 10 million people? Are you solving the problem for those? That's where if the market is big, yes, that idea is good. Do they need the product? And why do we need their product? I mean, why do you need your product? If there are 3 products, similar product, why do you need yours? There has to be a differentiator over there. If you don't have a sufficient differentiator, they won't. Do they need it now? This is a very important question. If they say that, okay, we'll wait for a year, that's not a very pressing issue right now, that's not a good time to create that particular product or enter into the business with that product, right? The timing is very, very important. And is the product disruptive? If you are in a disruptive product, that's so huge in terms of half the price and double the efficiency, or 4 times the efficiency and half the cost. 1/4 of the cost. Because if the efficiency delta is like 1 or 2 times and the price difference is like 10%, 20%, people won't change because they are used to the older product and they are comfortable with that, right? Just see an example of the Google Docs and Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint. Still people are using Microsoft PowerPoint, which was created 20 years back, because people are comfortable with that. So even if there is a disruptive change to that extent, then only people will go. Otherwise, they are going to go with their product they have been using. This is a very interesting Delta 4 framework question. And this is, efficiency score between the previous state and the new state. What do you mean by that? This is the question you have to ask to yourself. So let me switch off the let me switch off the presentation for some time and ask you this question, because this is a very interesting question. If some people can switch on the video, if 15-20 people can switch on the video, it's a simple kind of a discussion which I'm going to have with you for the next 5 minutes, but which will sufficiently explain this Delta 4 framework. So can you enable the video, please? And keep your mic on, so that I'll be able to see you.
Everyone is please requested to switch on the videos.
Yeah, switch on the videos. I'm not going to harm you by opening your videos. I'm going to ask you a very simple business case scenario. People are at their homes and they might not want to switch on their videos because of the way they are dressed at this point of time, or maybe whatever the environment at the back is. But it's little important from a discussion perspective. So let's take two scenarios. The same product which is being delivered to you, or the product which you are using it right now. Let's take an example of railway ticket booking. And the older mechanism of booking the tickets was going to the railway counters, standing in the queue, making that hustle and bustle and wait for 2 and 3 hours and fill up the form and get the tickets. That was the older one. What's the newer way, which we are doing it right now? The newer way is going to a e-portal, going to the IRTCT and looking at e-booking, right? It's a simple way. Now people are doing through e-booking. So there is an older way and there is a newer way. Tell me, on the scale of 10, 10 being highest, how do you rate the older versus the new? What is the rating of older way of booking on the scale of 10? So 2 or 3 people have to tell me what is the rating on the scale of 10 of the older way, and what is the rating of new on the scale of 10, newer way.
Sir, based on my experience, since I'm using it for 5 to 6 years, I will give it 10 out of 10.
And the older?
Older, no, sir. I don't want to go in that area because
you don't want to go there. I completely agree.
It's very,
but you don't like. But then, if you don't like, you give a rating, right? You pass or fail the students, right? So
no, the problem is there were lots of wastage of times. I had to
correct. So from an experience perspective, it is a 0 score or 1 score or 2 score.
Yes, definitely. And no guarantee of getting the confirmed ticket also.
Okay.
So you don't have in your hand, what?
Correct. So one of our friend has said the new rating is 10 and the old service rating is 1, just for the sake of discussion. Okay. Anybody else who wants to give a rating?
I think the new generation probably doesn't know the old system, because they might not have seen that.
Yes, sir. That is.
Yeah, but the people who have used it. Okay, let's go towards that. The people who can. What would be the rating for that?
Their parents must have used it.
So what would be rating? New rating, old rating? Just give it 2 numbers to play with.
Sir, I would like to give the rating. Sir, I think the new system should be rated 8 and the old system should be rated 6. That is what I feel.
8 and 6. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah.
So new system, as far as the youth is concerned, 10 on 10. And the old system, as far as if I will express it from the view of my parents' side, so that would be definitely still on 7 or 8, because they are not.
From your side, not the
yes,
parents' side. Option
okay. From my side, Yeah. From my side, sir, hardly 2 or 3. I can give a rating of 2 or
Okay.
3.
Anybody else? Just one, and then I'll ask the other question. Anybody else?
So I think the new system is obviously 10 and the older system would be 4 or 5.
4 or 5. So average is like people are coming that 2, 3, 4, and then 8, 9, 10, newer one. So I'll give you a new service now, a new product. The new product is the problem you are trying to tackle is getting your clothes washed and getting your clothes pressed. जो धोबी का काम है basically. So now your old service is dhobi, and there is a way the people are getting your clothes washed and pressed, and there is a new startup which has come in which is going to offer you this kind of service, and they are also going to do the same. Take your clothes, press and give it back to you. The difference is वो घंटी बजाएगा और ये मोबाइल पे देखेगा, फिर भी घंटी बजाएगी. That is the only difference, right? So now you have to rate on the scale of 10. You as user, not your parents. I mean, the parents are not going to use the new service. So you are the users.
Sir, for both the services, I will give 8 out of 10. Both are equally
Both the services.
good.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I would go with Palvi ma'am. I think both are similar. So both could be rated the same.
Same. Okay. Anybody else?
Hello. Hello. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I will give the older one is more convenient, so 9 or 8, and the newer one is 6.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thanks, Sneh. So the point is very interesting. If you see the service of train booking, the overall rating was 8, 9, 10, newer, and older one was 0, 1, 2. The difference was the delta was at more than 8 or equal to 8. And to be specifically more than 4. And if you look at the Dhobi service, Dhobi startup, the difference is 0 or 2 or 3. Delta, the difference between the old and new. So if the difference between the old and new service is less than 4, you should not go. If the difference is more than 4, that's a good idea, because people are now going to use that service, and that is going to be irreversible. And that has 3 characteristics. What are those characteristics? First, you are ready to accept some inefficiencies, right? Even if the net is slow, अरे यार ठीक है चलेगा, कोई problem नहीं. We'll wait, but will not go to the station. वो जो थे ना हमारे friend बोल रहे थे मैं जाऊंगा ही नहीं. So he will not go. He will wait for the net to improve, or even if it takes more than 2 or 3, right? The one is irreversible. Second is he is ready to accept certain inefficiencies, and third is unique bragging value. That means when it comes to the usage of that new product, the customer starts talking about it to other customers. अरे यार तू क्यों कर रहा है booking? Station पे जाके तो पुराना हो गया. This is the new way of doing it. So that's a unique bragging value you get out of this new product when it comes into a delta 4. If it crosses delta 4, you should get into that kind of thing. So that's where, I mean, there are a lot of places where you can decide whether you want to decide about the idea, but this is also one of the good mechanisms to decide. So if you want to get into Dhobi type startup, think 10 times. Looks good, but is it good? I don't know. I mean, this is a framework for you to test out your product, ideas or concepts. So let's, unless there is a question anybody has, I will go to the next one.
Sir, actually, what you talked about this delta change, it may happen that over a period of time, people start accepting, and then the delta increases.
Yeah.
Because initially, when probably Zomato or Swiggy came, very few people opted for it, but then now it is most popular. So
Correct.
instead of going to restaurant, now people are preferring that would
Absolutely.
call for that. So,
Yeah.
and this, how do we judge that such kind of change may occur?
Yeah, I mean, you are absolutely right. So that's the question about the timing. And that's where the entrepreneurial thinking has to come in terms of when this trend is going to become a mainstream. Then when this theme is going to become a kind of a irreversible trend. When is that technology going to become transparent? That means now we don't even think of electricity. It is transparent. We don't think of some of those technology which is being part of our day-to-day use. How much is this technology or that product is getting used? If it is not getting used more than 4 hours per day, you should not wait for that technology adoption to get into the mainstream. Make sure that whatever the product searches, you put it on the Google trend is, if that search criteria gives you a result of more than 250,000 users, oh, that's a point when a lot of people are thinking about using this product. That is a time you should be ready. I'm not saying you should not develop, you should be ready. So you should start thinking early and you should start creating, but reach at that point before, if you launch, you might be starving. If you launch it little late, yeah, good.
Yeah, because when you talked about this Dhobi service, people gave rating which was very close to old and new. But then if you give some different kind of service, maybe Dhobi comes to you, rings a bell and says, okay, I'm taking these clothes, but is there anything urgently you want? And immediately he does it for you there itself and gives it to you. So something like that, if you give something new, then probably people will prefer.
Yeah, I mean, see, it's not that these startups won't work. These startups won't work, but they will not be runaway success. The time has to come in. And if you're at the right time, the momentum takes you to a very bigger game. You'll just take the Amazon case. He was like an analyst working in the investment bank firm in New York. And he looked at the report that the internet boom is going to come in. That wave is the massive wave is going to come in, which is going to be like 3,000 times the way it is going to change. And the new internet wave is going to change the world. He rode on that wave. If that wave would not have been there, he would not have been successful. So you want to ride on that wave when it is rising, not when it is beginning, not when the wave is going down. I'm not sure how the wave is going to plateau. So, and that's where that timing comes in. If it's like you are early, you are starving. If you're late, it's a me too. You have to be at the right time, right spot. And that's where these are certain indicators. If you launch it little early, you will find it difficult to operate. I'm not saying they won't operate, but probability wise, I'm saying there are no rules here, but the probability or in all kind of common sense, they will not have kind of a runaway success. Their time will have to come. At that time, there will be a massive kind of a push and adoption. And at that time, these companies will grow tremendously and you can create a success out of that. I'm not by any chance saying that don't work on this new technology. I'm saying which would be the better out of these two. That's what, you get 10 ideas, you get 20 ideas, how to find whether, are there any kind of filters which you can apply, or are there any kind of mental models you can apply to find out whether the idea is good or bad, initial level. At the end of the day, even after this, esoteric ideas become a runaway success. So, it's all about, as I said, that flavor, that component of that business, as you mentioned about whether if somebody's, edtech startups, for example. There's so many edtech startups in India itself, there are more than 100. But there are different flavors, there are different positionings, there are different advantages, there are different USPs, there are different promises, they are for different customer segments. I mean, Baiju, multi-billion-dollar, one of the biggest companies under the sun from India in the edtech space, has not gone to the professional education till now. I mean, they have money, they have everything, but that positioning is captured by somebody else. There are upgrades of the world, there is an academy. So everybody would have a different flavor. Somebody might solve the instant problem, as you rightly said. Exam aa raha hai, mere ko problem ka solution abhi chahiye, next day. I don't want to go through all your course. Problem solver in 5 minutes. Somebody might say, I want a solution to be solved, 10 problems to be solved, just like for CAT, but the time limit for each is 3 minutes. And therefore, I want an approach to solve this problem only for 3 minutes. Can you do it for me? So 3-minute solver solution, because it's a competitive exam. So there are different ways of, right from pedagogy to delivery to social learning to the video to the different kind of only one field, there will be hundreds of how you play your game is going to change. And all these companies got a massive flip in the last 2 years because of the COVID. I mean, Zoom today versus what we are using right now, or the tech companies, the kind of the volumes which you are seeing right now is just because that massive adoption when the internet became cheaper and that could be available on the handset. We are talking about 18 rupees a GB in India, which is the cheapest by far any country has offered in the world. And any rickshawala or dudwala, I'm not demeaning any of them, they are using 15 to 20 GB video content every month. That's what we are talking about. And if it comes to that level where the affordability, it becomes irreversible, then that train will not go back. So that's where you have to see how this trend is transitioning from a scientific domain to engineering domain to a consumer domain. And the moment it gets into a consumer domain, and if you see it's more than 4 hours, it's likely to get into more than 2 hours or 4 hours per day. Oh, that time you have to be there with your product to create a massive success. That doesn't mean the other products won't, but they will, chances are that they will create a moderate success. Because people are not still very convinced about that delta is just 2. That delta 2 is so much of inertia. There is no massive differentiator to use new product. Okay, we are almost ending there. I mean, there are a lot of slides. We could have gone on and on, because when I teach a course only under this topic of innovation itself, it's like a 10 hours minimum. So because that's a part of the course, but then I have a limitation of a time, and I'm very cognizant to that. So from 10:30 to 12, because you have next speaker also who's going to come in and is going to talk to you. So I want to be cognizant on that, and respecting your time. It's exactly 11:59, 12. So I want to stop here and really thank organizers, wonderful audience over here in terms of the numbers. And it's a good opportunity to talk to young people. And with these parting thoughts, I will stop here. Any questions, I can just take it over, and then goodbye for the first sessions, and prepare yourself for the second one to come in.
Thank you, sir. Very nicely you have talked about the innovation and those 5 steps which you gave. Really, it has given an insight to all of us. And students, I would like them to really take out their queries and ask questions without any hesitation. And let me again tell you, I always tell you, no question is a silly question. So please ask. Anybody?
So, yeah, Dr. Joshi, when I take this class, I have this class in entrepreneurship, which I teach at VNIT right now. I'm not teaching at Artsun. So we have guest lectures. So whenever the guest lecture is organized, that LinkedIn profile is given to the students, 60 students. And each student prepares 10 questions in advance. And they are in the waiting room 15 minutes earlier, all 60. And if moment the person who is going to is giving a speech, he says that any questions, almost 30-40 people will raise their hands. So that's the way the students, if they prepare and if they ask those questions, because this is this is all where all those questions could be asked at this point of time, because this gives them a platform to ask no question, as you rightly said, is a silly question. And we have to make it an habit to ask these questions. And I'm glad that the staff is taking initiative in asking questions. Otherwise, students are little, shy. But I think they don't have to. All students are in second year. I teach this class right at the first year end itself. And it's like a 60 hours, 70 hours. I can tell you the quality of the questions, the preparation they do. Sometimes it's very overwhelming.
Teachers, I think we should take this cue and prepare our students whenever this kind of a guest lecture is there.
Yeah, because that's where you can impress your guest lecturer. You can invite people or come to a campus if he sees that, oh, this is like an enthusiastic lot. They are asking so many questions. They are very eager. Oh, I had one of the very wonderful experience in this session because people were receptive, people were energetic. And that's where this all small impressions are going to count.
Sir, sorry for interruption. Chaudhary sir, we will be having group discussion on your lecture immediately in the afternoon sessions. So we are not, letting the students to just listen the lecture. So in a group of 15, there will be almost 10 groups will be there for each class, and we will be having the group discussion on the contents. We have noted down your contents as well. So
correct. That's
right
nice.
now they cannot, they may be shy to ask the question, but when they will interact with us, they will feel, kind of comfortable to discuss.
Yeah, but I would definitely, that's a good practice, but I will encourage, the students to ask questions live, because that will create the kind of impression to the speaker. And that can go a long way, because these speakers are sometimes CEOs, MDs, and VPs of these companies, and they can carry a great experience with them. So why use that opportunity? It's only 5 minutes, and only 5 people have to ask questions, because you can't have all people asking the questions, otherwise it will be out of bounds. Just a small suggestion, nothing else. Yeah,
we agree with you. We agree with you. We'll follow that.
Sir. Yep. So thanks a lot.
We have some faculties. Sir, there are some faculties, 2 or 3 faculties, they want to ask you some questions, sir.
If Dr. Joshi gives permission, I'm there.
You go ahead, sir. We can.
Okay.
Okay.
Deshkar, sir.
Yeah, sir, can we have your number to discuss about further experiments which we do in this direction?
Yeah, I'm always available. Any experiments for students on the entrepreneurship. See, for me, it's a live. My life has changed, really speaking, because I was also one of the teachers. And when I was teaching at, YCC, this is my 10th venture, but when I was teaching at YCC also, all my students, I started my company's ADCC back there in 1997 with my students. Those were 21, 22 years of age, and they were such a smart people, because they were curated, and the kind of the program we put forward, and thereby got those people right after the graduation. And these people were capable of, competing with the 3 to 5 years of experience of people coming from outside. And I made all those companies with young people. Even the Lambent Technologies, which was my 6th company for that matter. I was 38 and my next in line was 22. Yeah. So that was my all companies I made with my students, my all junior people. Yes, so yes. That's the talent.
Yeah, sir. So can we get your number?
Yes.
Oh, माझ्याकडे आहे. Don't worry about that.
Sir, we have with us. We will provide it to you.
They have my number.
Yeah.
And I'm always available.
Please ask that. Anybody else?
I think Sahu ma'am.
Sir, I wanted to ask. Alvi ma'am, you were saying something.
Switch on your video, Sahu madam.
Yeah, I'm not audible a little bit. So can you repeat? Sahu madam. So maybe the problem with their, I can't see the audio part here in her screen.
Madam.
I think the audio
You
is
were
not there.
asking something.
Your voice is not reaching to us.
Ma'am, you can put a question in a chat box. You can put your query in chat box if you're not able to speak from the.
Yeah, her mic is not on. The audio is not connected right now.
Yes, sir.
Any student?
स्टूडेंट लोग को तो थोड़ा जगाना पड़ेगा, खिलाना पड़ेगा.
Sir, I wanted to ask, you are into investing and advising student startups. So how do you filter out, like in selecting the startup? Is it only the delta filter, or like principals have mentioned that some startups might not sound great in the starting, but it takes a great trend afterwards. And you also said that it's not only about the ideas, it's how we are executing those ideas. So how do you filter in the starting as to, is it a good idea to invest or to advise students?
Yeah. I mean, right question. So it's like it's about the idea itself, no doubt about it. But more than that, the passion of the students, the quality of the students, and are they able to put that passion into their hard work? Is that level of the commitment can I see over there over the period of time? Because there are enough incidences and experiments through which you can watch them and find out, are they really made of that kind of material itself, and they really want to do it to that level. And if you see that those outliers, you can make it out. I just go ahead and help them irrespective of the idea at that point of time, because any idea, for that matter, if in a way, if the idea is reasonably good, not it has to be exceptionally good, but reasonably good. But if it can be implemented with a unique approach, there is a potential to make it success. So there was this one student, Arjun Ashok, and he created his own kind of a product company, got admission into Harvard, didn't take an admission to the Harvard, and created his company right after the college itself. That was a brave decision. And in next 1 year, the kind of the product he created, the Apple India CEO invested 2 crores in his company. And then one of the categories, the world level competitions, in that one category, this boy at the age of 23 is a world winner. Can you imagine the young people? Young people have tremendous talent, tremendous energy, and they are more smart than us at a given point of time. अभी तो आपका टाइम है, हमारा टाइम तो निकल गया.
Thank you, sir. Sir, what is the most common mistake that you have observed in new startups and would advise anyone who is starting new?
So, the most fundamental advice would be, if your startup is a battle to be fought for 4 years to 8 years, if you are going to fight that 4 to 8 years of battle minimum, then it's wise to spend first 2 or 3 months in discovering the realities and assumptions and the facts about the need of the product. So you have to get into the customer discovery. Don't get into the product development straight away. Do the customer discovery. Just like a product development, there is a process called as a customer development. So do that customer development at the lowest cost. Develop your smallest MVP. And with that 2 or 3 or 4 months spending, you will get enough understanding whether to pivot, whether to change, or whether to drop. So it's a good point in terms of spending this 3 to 4 months at the lowest money to validate your initial concept, and then put money and put the efforts over there. What happens is people in advance put so much of effort and money. By the time the product hits to the market, it is 70% of the target. By that time, you have lost money, you have lost time, because you thought that somebody might steal your idea, and therefore you are working in closed doors. You don't want to share your idea. Believe me, any idea which you are working right now, there are at least 60 to 70 companies in the world who are working on the similar idea, but a different approach. So it's not about the ideas. It's about how you execute on those ideas. And for that, you need to get those unique insights And for getting those unique insights, you cannot work in your office. You have to go in the battleground where your customers are, discover the need, discover the enough customers with the problem, find out one or two unique ways to solve their problem, and then get into the product development. Don't spend initial money. That's a classic mistake people do, and then they die.
That was honestly a very great advice, sir. Thank you so much. Anyone has any doubts?
I think we can conclude now.
Yeah.
Everyone is requested to switch on their videos to take a screenshot, please.
Yeah, it's tough. Everybody, lot many people have to be presentable. Zoom and videos have created a unique kind of a scenario. Not easy thing to do. For in my Zoom classes, every 10-15 minutes, I ask them to switch on the videos.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, all that 45 minutes is not a single. After every 15 minutes, everybody is on. We have a discussion for 10 minutes. Then again, the discourse or whatever it starts. Otherwise, you never know. You are talking to the blank windows.
That's good. Khushi, you can start the vote of thanks. Yeah. Who is going to do
Yes,
that?
sir. So I'll do it. So coming towards the end of the session, I would like to express my gratitude to all the esteemed delegates of the webinar for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to our honorable speaker, Mr. Sashikant Chaudhary. Thank you, sir, for acknowledging us on where to get the ideas, how to implement those ideas, and to tell us that it's not only about the bright ideas, but it's all about how we execute those ideas to motivate us to think out of the box, to give a push to our dreams. Your speech was quite motivational, and we'll definitely try incorporating your teaching, sir. At last but not the least, I would like to thank all the audiences for being a patient listener. Thank you for joining in, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.